Sierra Alpha Prime. By Dion Robinson. Chapter 5. Palmer Video Log to Dr. Joilee Raina James. July 2, 2459, CE. As I made my way to the energy source that brought down my ship 2 days ago, I decided to take advantage of my surroundings. My main objective is to survive until help arrives. I immediately took samples of all edible plants. I sighted alien wildlife. I would not dare consume either plant or animal due to its unforeseen biological effect. Yet neither do I know if the plants are suitable for consumption. I have at least 3 weeks of survival food rations. Meanwhile, I will analyze and catalog what flora is edible. I wish I could study these plants under different circumstances rather than survival. The good news is that there is water on this planet. There are faint traces of methane, which I should be able to filter with my distillation kit in my survival pack. However, I will also analyze the water for microbial organisms or any chemicals that may harm me. In addition, I am still having trouble breathing. The dense air resembles the amount of oxygen in the Himalayan mountains. I am forced to take breaks every 2 hours as I feel lightheaded. It will be dark soon. It seems this planet's daily cycle runs every 8 hours. End of Palmer log. After traveling the first 12 hours, it was almost nightfall. Joilee used the Palmer device to link with the orbital satellite from the Oldumare. She had full piloting capability as she directed the satellite drone over the area. She saw alien ruins, which were not far from her. She did a data scan on the heat spectrum to detect any life forms of danger to her. After the scan came up negative, she created a holographic third model of the ruins. She saw a temple built within a cave. The hike would only take her an hour at the most. She quickly made haste as the temperature started to drop. Her environmental suit would not protect her as the breaches exposed her skin. The next solar cycle. Joilee. After a 2-day hike, Joilee observed the kingdom of animals and plantae. She observes a butterfly-like creature feasting on the nectar of a plant. Without notice, the plant devours the butterfly. However, she was amazed at how resilient the butterfly's survival instinct was. It cut its way out of the plant with its razor-sharp wings. Joilee watched in amazement. However, her survival instincts were to keep her distance from both plant and animal. As she continued to travel, it started to rain, and yet again, it was to retake shelter. She found a small temple ruin and decided to take refuge for the night. After another day of cutting her way through the dense forest, she arrived at Mayan-like infrastructure. She opens the Palmer and does a quick scan of the infrastructure. The Palmer pinpointed the location of the heat signature. After walking into the central area of the infrastructure, she sees nothing but open space. Joilee scanned the site to find where the heat signature was emitting. As she continued to walk, she stepped on a panel that triggered the floor to open. Suddenly, the main temple floors began to shift. Joilee quickly made haste. As the floors continued to collapse beneath her. After quickly evading sudden death by jumping on a stable platform, she witnessed a device emerging from the center. The infrastructure was 6 stories tall. It has a similar design to the Aztec and Mayan culture. The device consisted of multicolored jewels and other precious stones of the planet. It fired a bright blue beam into the sky that emitted intense heat. Joilee could not bear the heat as she was forced to move to a safe distance. Once she was clear, Joilee quickly took reading with her the Palmer. The scan for readings was astonishing. Within her hour of journey, she had made it to the ruins. She was fascinated by what she saw at the ruins. She observed the stone statues, carvings, paintings. She found them similar to Aztec, Mayan, and Incan designs. She immediately did a panoramic pictorial scan of the carving for her data study later. Like the sunset, Joilee quickly entered the temple-like cave. She went inside her survival backpack and removed a small device that emitted light and heat, which could heat an entire small house. Joilee took out her Palmer and hit the video record device. Palmer Video Log 3. Dr. Joilee Rayna James. July 6, 2459. It has been 4 days since my last massage. For 4 days, I have set my path to investigate the energy source that Ragnarok had picked up on its sensor readings picked up on the surface. I decided to take refuge here inside a temple within a cave. The findings are remarkable here. These ruins seem to have a similar culture to the Mayan, Aztec, Incan. Possibly all three. If I had a team, I would dedicate some time to studying the ruins. However, I must find that energy source. Maybe I can investigate it and figure out how to shut it off before sending a rescue team for me. End of log. After Joilee ended her recording, she turned off her Palmer and closed her eyes before sleeping. As she began to drift off, she started to dream about the events that led up to today's events a year ago. Amazing! These are similar to the Mayan and Aztec designs in Latin America, Joilee thought. The Palmer pinpointed the location of the heat signature. After walking into the central area of the infrastructure, she sees nothing but open space. As Joilee continued to walk, she stepped on a panel that slightly sunk into the floor. Suddenly, the central temple shifted as if it was transforming into something else. Joilee quickly made haste. She was running out of floors to stand. After quickly evading sudden death by jumping on a stable platform, Joilee witnessed a device emerging from the center of the room. The temple's ceiling opened to allow the device to protrude into open space. The device consisted of an alien metal alloy and multicolored jewelers that lit up to power the device. The device almost covered the size of the room, and it towered 6 stories high. The device fired a bright blue microwave pulse into the sky that emitted intense heat. Joilee could not bear the heat as she was forced to move to a safe distance. Joilee's environmental suit started to blister and breach more. Joilee screamed in pain as the melting suit burned her skin. Once she was clear, Joilee quickly took energy level readings as she was concerned about radiation exposure. The scan detected none. However, she made a discovery. These are the same reading that the ship picked up from the surface. After Joilee was done with her readings, she explored the ancient infrastructure. Not too long, she heard a noise on the second tier of the ruins. Joilee looked and saw a humanoid alien that looked precisely human. There were a few biological differences, such as ridges on the bridge of their noses. The humanoid being had tattoos similar to painting on the temple walls and had a weapon in her hand. The humanoid made an alarming signal other than him coming out of hiding. Joilee's first instinct was to run, which she did. As the locals chased her, they hurled spears and other projectile weapons. None of them made contact. Joilee drew her gun and fired a few shots, hitting one of her pursuers. Joilee saw an exit to the compound and made her haste. However, not knowing the doorway led to a 50-foot drop below the raging river. Joilee stops but not in time to catch her footing. Joilee loses both gun and machete as she tumbles over the edge. As Joilee screams to her death, a male native wraps his fingers around her arms. Native humanoid lived Joilee to stable ground. With the dense air wreaking havoc on her lungs and the combined excitement, Joilee passed out.